Hi there, and welcome to San Onofre State Perks, a punny little video series where we're highlighting some of the many resources and characteristics that make San Onofre State Park a uniquely popular gem of public open space. Today we're talking Surfonomics with Chad Nelsen. Chad is the CEO of the Surfrider Foundation, and he earned his PhD with a study of the 4 Trestles surf breaks in San Onofre State Beach and their economic impact on the nearby community of San Clemente.
We're down here at Uppers, which is one of the popular surf spots at San Onofre State Park. There's a bunch of reasons why this is a really special place. San Onofre State Park is one of the most visited state parks in California. It also hosts some of the best surf spots in the state, if not the country. So, as part of getting my doctorate degree at UCLA, I did a research project on Trestles, looking at the economic contribution Trestles makes to the city of San Clemente. So I interviewed about 1,300 surfers coming down to surf down here and asked them a number of questions about where they come from, how much time they spend down here, and how much spending they do in the city of San Clemente. And I work with the state parks to figure out how many people come and visit Trestles to surf every year. And amazingly enough, there's about 330,000 people a year come down to surf sort of from Cottons, Uppers, Lowers, down to Church. And when they come to San Clemente, they spend money in the town. They buy fuel, they go to restaurants, they go to surf shops, they stop in town for any number of reasons. And so I was trying to figure out what that economic contribution is to the city of San Clemente. So by asking all these questions and surveying these surfers and then extrapolating that to all the surfers that come and visit San Clemente, I was able to determine that about $8 to $13 million a year in spending for the city of San Clemente actually comes from visitors to Trestles coming here to surf. And of those 330,000 people, 87% of them come from outside the city of San Clemente to come here, and they're coming specifically because the quality of the surf here is so high. So I was looking at Trestles proper, which is sort of from Cottons to Church, but you're right, there's a whole nother surf spot, San Onofre surf spot, which is kind of a longboard spot, has a number of breaks in it. It's gotta be one of the most popular surfing destinations in California. I mean, every weekend there's a line down there. There's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people, if not thousands, visiting every single day in the summer, anytime the waves are any good. So that wasn't even included in this. So those numbers are a minimum. And as we all know, south of San Onofre is Pendleton. So people are coming here. The only place for them to shop is in the city of San Clemente. San Clemente is arguably sort of one of the cities that's the epicenter of surfing in Southern California. It invites an international crowd of people. It's a destination for surfers around the world to come here. So it's really a magnet for surfing. And you're right, there's a number of the surf brands have their offices and are employing people here because of its proximity to Lowers and Trestles and all the surfing that goes on here. Another thing that's really interesting is when I looked at I surveyed these surfers coming to Trestles, they come from all over the place. They come from Ocean Beach, way down in southern San Diego, from Oceanside, from Huntington Beach, from Newport Beach, sort of North County San Diego, all the way up to Santa Barbara. What they're doing is they're leaving their town with surf in it, driving in some case, almost a couple hours to come here. And when you talk to those people and say, hey, why did you leave surf right out in front of you at Huntington or at Oceanside to come to Trestles, they'll tell you it's because the quality of the waves is so high. So these surfers have a ton of choice, and they're coming here because the waves are just that much better. So what that tells me is if we see these waves degrade from interference with the natural processes, a lot of those surfers may decide, well, if the waves aren't any significantly better than they are in Huntington Beach, wherever I'm coming from, why come here? So I think it's really important to understand that it's actually the incredibly high quality of the surf that's driving that, because they're leaving places with pretty good surf otherwise. The waves are obviously amazing and they're super high quality, but there's more to it than that too. In the middle of what's relatively urbanized Southern California, it's this little oasis. It's a beautiful landscape, it's full of wildlife, it's got a healthy estuary, which you can see right behind me. So there's a lot going on here besides just the surf that makes it attractive. It's got a great campground, so there's so many, it's kind of all the elements that make a surfing experience great come together right here. It's one of the few surf spots that's actually safe to surf in after it rains. The San Mateo Creek, which is right behind us, is used as like the baseline for what natural water quality should look like in San Diego and Orange County, because it's undeveloped watershed and the water coming out of this thing is clean. So, you know, Huntington Beach, Newport Beach, huge urban areas draining those places. It's not safe to surf after it rains. The water's polluted. Same in San Diego, as you mentioned, and here it tends to be clean. I mean, the other thing about the waves here, which is amazing, and I can get into it, I guess, is they're not really that tide sensitive. So these are river mouth, cobble river mouth waves, uppers, which is like being formed right now, and lowers, which was sort of historical exit of the creek. And so these apron of cobbles, you know, the size of kind of bowling balls, have been spread out into the ocean that focus the waves and make them break. And then there's this, you know, sand flowing out of this creek too that's covering those up. And that combination, you know, makes these sort of perfectly positioned reefs that just make a left, in the case of lowers, a left and a right breaking, and in the case of uppers, mostly a right. But it's that amazing combination, and that's all because the watershed here is dumping cobble and sand out of the river when we get these big storms. So any interference of those processes upstream in the watershed ultimately is going to have an impact to the quality of these waves down here.
Wow. It turns out that the surf in San Onofre supports a significant part of the San Clemente economy. I guess the several thousand years old Native American city of Panhe, environmentally sensitive habitat supporting 12 threatened or endangered species, the last pristine watershed in Southern California, affordable visitor serving accommodations in the San Mateo campground, and countless backcountry hiking and biking opportunities aren't the only reason to keep San Onofre State Park free of new road construction. But more of that when you join us next time on San Onofre State Perks.